Hey everyone, Drew here for Drew Underground. Underground Gaming is back again. I know Desert Nord, we said we would do Breaking Rocks, but I decided on a game topic that I wanted to talk about, so here we are. So joining me is Desert Nord, my younger brother. Hey bro.
Hey there.
I see Chunk has been waiting patiently in the chat for the last 30 minutes. Yeah, I was asleep, so that's why we're about 40 minutes late. Because I woke up and I'm like, fuck, it's 8:30. God damn it. So, Leighton Gary, yes, I know. But here's the thing. Unlike Nerdrotic, this rarely happens. We are either on time or most of the time we start early.
Yeah.
But as it is.
We also don't have a lot to talk about either.
Yeah, we just have PlayStation Plus, Games with Gold, and then the topic that we're actually going to talk about is our favorite consoles and games over the years, which I know we had done previously on YouTube with Chris when 3G podcast was a thing, but that doesn't exist on the channel anymore, and neither do those videos. So it's like it never happened. It would be more interesting if Joshy were here, but I think he's sleeping under his rock right now. But as it is. Before we get into any of that stuff, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, well, I was playing PUBG with my buddy the other day.
I think hell just frozen over. Nord was playing something different.
Yeah, I was doing a little dabbling. I was also playing Borderlands 3, but you already knew about that.
Yeah. I did most recently on stream another episode of The Adventures of Drew Heartfire for Skyrim, which was just leveling up magic abilities and buying new spells at that point, for the most part. Otherwise, next time on that, we're going to be diving into the Dawnguard stuff and finding Serana. So, but on that note, PlayStation Plus for the month of February. We're going to get this stuff out of the way before we talk about our main topic here. So PlayStation Plus February games for the Essentials tier for PlayStation Plus. For the PS5, we got Evil Dead the game, and that's for PS5 and PlayStation 4. Ollie Ollie World, a indie skateboarding game for PS5 and PS4, and for PS4, Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Your thoughts, Nord?
Yeah, well, the only game that really raises an eyebrow is Destiny. Although it doesn't intrigue me that much, but I know that there is a community that plays Destiny pretty regularly. So
there's also a community that on and off, but regularly plays Evil Dead as well. Mm-hmm. But beyond Light, beyond PlayStation though, Games with Gold for February, For the King and Guts and Goals. Well, PlayStation obviously fucking wins in February because ever since Game Pass became a thing, Games with Gold has suffered so fucking much for it. Between the abandoning of having 360 and original Xbox games be a part of it, all we get is just 2 games from Games with Gold. Meanwhile, PlayStation Plus, even though the higher tiers came into existence, it seems like the lower tier has, in terms of the free game offerings, like PlayStation Plus only used to be, with the exception of it being a paid subscription to play online. When the PS4 first came out, seems to actually be trying, in spite of the higher tiers existing for PlayStation Plus. Meanwhile, games with Gold and games with Ultimate exist. Xbox does not give a shit about games with Gold whatsoever. PlayStation seems to care about the lower tier of PlayStation Plus. I have no words for this. Nord?
Yeah, well, that's Sony for you. Okay, that's really not not really even anything new, really.
But on the opposite side, Sony doesn't really seem to care that much, per se, about the highest tiers of PlayStation Plus when it comes to adding certain things to it. Meanwhile, Microsoft, it's their bread and fucking butter. Game Pass Ultimate. Day one releases on Xbox, not with Sony. So on the back end, Microsoft doesn't give a shit. At the top, Microsoft cares. At the back end, Sony seems to care. At the top, we'll compete with Xbox, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it comes down to neither company really understanding, at least from my point of view, how to actually compete with one another. Because here's the thing. When the two compete, hey, Chunk, and when it comes to competing with one another, both companies make each other better. When they actually know how to compete with each other, it seems like Sony and Microsoft are just trying to take something away from the other and do something, and then the other's like, you know what? I'm not going to try to do that. I'm going to go right up to the wall and just go, hi. Kick the fucking wall down, jackasses. God damn it. Meanwhile, you have Nintendo just over on their bicycle doing whatever the fuck they want and selling more systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing I've always wondered about Sony, is that I kind of wonder if the Sony guys are even aware of how scatterbrained their brand is.
Well, Xbox is about as scatterbrained too at this point.
No, I'm not saying Xbox isn't, but I'm just saying Sony, they really still really need to get together, because it's really messed up how they treat their own customers foremost, and then other than that, it's like they don't know how to run a gaming company at all. They might know how to make systems, they might know how to hire developers, but as far as like being customer oriented, they are not.
I don't know if you saw the video that I sent to you. Was it this morning? That I also sent to Joshy as well. Did you watch that from YouTube?
No, I didn't actually catch that one.
Yeah, it's a very interesting watch. It's about an hour long, but you should check that out because it's centered around what I'm about to say right now. All of this is a larger symptom of executives not knowing anything about the industry that they're an executive in, and trusting stupid little fucking kids that were brainwashed throughout school, saying, this is gonna work. Meanwhile, no one fucking buys it. I.e. woke Gen Zers, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a larger symptom
of the game journals that we talk about all the time.
Well, it's not so much even that. It's also the stupid woke children that are running their social media accounts Also, the woke children that they listen to, like at game developing companies, and Hollywood is just as fucking bad, if not worse. The music industry, same thing. And people wonder.
Gaming got,
yeah.
At some point, gaming got invaded by them.
Yeah.
And at that point, it became a loss, just a total loss.
Yeah.
That's really what Gamergate is about to me. But I guess to other people, it means different things.
And people wonder why I don't really get excited about games as much as I used to, or movies or TV shows. What do I get excited about? Minority Home's next stream or something like that. Or the next time Mara, or Friday Night Tights, or Midnight's Edge doing the live stream, or yelling at parked cars from Comics Division. I get excited about you guys in your streams. That's what I get excited about. Because everything else is fucking shit. But speaking of shit, Games with Gold sucks. PlayStation Plus is trying to do something. And on that note, our favorite consoles and games over the years. We've talked about this before on YouTube, even though that video doesn't exist anymore. And you and I know we've had this conversation off camera many fucking times, right?
Yep.
But on that note, I'll start with the chat for those that are in the chat listening. Type in the chat what your favorite console is of all time. As for me, it was the Xbox 360. Nord?
Well, for me, it'd be the GameCube.
That's fair. But what would, in your opinion, be the best console of all time?
Oh, well, I mean, recent gens, it's fair to say that they deserve a mention in that category.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like everything lately has been shit. It's been getting better in regards to console performance. It's just...
console performance, yes, but everything else, yeah. I feel that the golden age of gaming was the PS3, the 360, and the, God help us, the Wii U era.
Yeah.
But it was mostly because of the PS3 and the 360 and the games on those, as well as on PC.
Yeah.
In terms of the level of content on the hardware that's out now, I feel like we're either on the verge or starting the dark ages of gaming at this point. If you guys know what I mean by that. Do you?
Well, I know one thing. Creativity went out the window somewhere in the...
Which is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's really the rise of the woke crowd is where the creativity went out the window with gaming.
Yeah.
Now it's just sequels and DLCs and bullshit, and it's not... Most of the time, it's not even very original. Creative at all.
Well, and you're also forgetting about another thing. Remaking new games for modern audiences.
Sure, yeah, that's one of the main problems.
Translation, modern audiences means for no one that buys or plays video games or remaking an old movie for no one that watches movies or TV shows. In other words, remaking something just to lose money on it is what it comes down to. Which also brings up a thought that I had.
An audience that wasn't ever going to play the game anyway.
Yeah, which brings up another thought that I had recently from watching that video that I sent you that you didn't watch, and that simply is this: if the wokies had tried to make their own IPs, no one would have given a shit. No one would have tried to stop them. No one would be complaining about it because nobody would be watching it. Right?
Well, they wanted to be given the mantle of something important.
Yeah.
And then turn it into whatever they wanted to turn it into, instead of having respect for what it always was and trying to build on it. No, they didn't come in and want to build on anything. They came in with a sledgehammer and wanted to destroy what was and replace it with some idea of their own. That's the problem with those people.
And Chunk is bringing us back to the topic at hand here. For Chunk in the chat, either PS2 or Super Nintendo for him are his favorites. That's pretty fair, because if we were to do like a top 5 consoles, PS2 would obviously be in the top 3, if not number 2.
Sure.
Because for me, Xbox 360 would be number 1, then PS2, then probably the N64, then the Super Nintendo, then the Nintendo Switch at number 5. You?
Yeah, I mean, the Nintendo Switch is one of the best consoles of the era. It's definitely the best handheld.
Well, it's a handheld. That can also be a dedicated home console too, to a point.
Exactly, it could be either one, but there's no competition whatsoever. That's it. Nothing else even is worth discussing. And then even in the console talk, there's still high rank.
Yeah.
With the Switch.
And number 5 for me. Number 6 would probably be PlayStation 3. Yeah. 7, the original Xbox. 8, and this is just based on what I've played or have. Keep that in mind too. The regular Nintendo at 8, 9. The Xbox, Sega Genesis.
You couldn't forget about can't forget about the old school stuff too.
The Sega Genesis I probably would put at 9, and then 10 would probably be the Xbox Series X at this point. And the reason the Series X is all the way down at 10 for me is because there is such a heavy reliance on Game Pass for it, and compared to the older systems where you buy the game, go home, plug it into the console, turn on the TV, and just start playing it. With Game Pass, you got to download the shit, and who knows how long that's going to take. And if your internet goes out, well, you ain't doing any of that.
Yeah.
If the internet goes out, chances are you might be able to play one game if you can't play anything at all. So that's why arguably the modern consoles are going to obviously take a back seat to all of the old stuff at that point. Because the modern consoles are handicapped by the internet at this point. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, they got better in regards to performance, but they didn't get any better than the last generation in terms of quality. The quality plateaued.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the PS4, goddammit. Yeah. Because Chunk has
so maybe the
PlayStation 4 at 3 here. Game Boy Advanced at 4 and PlayStation 3 at 5. That's fair. Well, in your list, Chunk, you're obviously a Sony pony. Haha. But as it is, I'm just kidding, Chunk. I really don't care what your favorite platform is, as long as you enjoy what you're playing on. But as it is, we never really talked about the games, because as I said, the best era for gaming, the golden era, was a 360 PS3. If you guys in the chat or watching disagree, let me know what you think the golden age of gaming was. I never owned an Xbox, so yes, I'm aware, Chunk.
I would say it's the 10-year period between 2002 and 2012.
2002, 2012, that was from the original Xbox through most of the 360 era. I can agree to that. Because during that era, look at the games that we got. We got Morrowind on the original Xbox. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion on the 360. And a whole shit ton of other great games.
Not to mention Skyrim at the end of the era.
Yeah. And in between those times, we also got other great shit.
That encompasses the entire GameCube era, the entire PS3 era, the entire Xbox 360 era.
Yeah.
All the way up into the early dawning days of the Switch and the basically what they called the death of the handhelds.
Yeah.
Which, if it weren't for the Switch, it would have been absolutely the end of the handhelds.
So, from the list of games that I'm looking at on my screen here, we got Alan Wake for the 360 during that time frame, I believe, right?
Yep.
We also got the first Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, we got all the Gears of War, Assassin's Creed, Elder Scrolls, all the lovely
BioShock series.
BioShock, Deus Ex, freaking even Zelda was going on.
The Castlevania series for the 360.
Yes, and then Kingdom Hearts, which everybody loved the shit out
of. Crackdown.
Crackdown. Red Dead. I mean, all of it. It's just a long list.
Dante's Inferno, Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dishonored. Dragon Age. Fable 1 and 2. Fallout 3. Far Cry, as in Far Cry 2,
and in the sports game category, we got the
Madden was
Sports.
Was decent then too.
Series, the 2K Sports series.
Yeah, of baseball and ESPN NFL 2K5.
We also went through the EA Big era, which was their only good era.
Yeah.
With SSX, that I think you might have already mentioned.
And the whole host of Lego games, Lego Batman, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga.
Mm-hmm.
See what else.
Pretty much everything of value that a person who calls himself a gamer should already have
or played, came out during that time frame. Now, if you compare it to modern day, how many banger games could you say are on modern systems or modern games? Not a lot.
There's only a handful that reach the quality level.
If you go back through the catalog of games that came out through all those years, you can easily find like at least 100 games at minimum. Today, maybe 10, 15 games, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you got? Like Witcher 3 and Titanfall and just a handful, really.
Well, if we're keep in mind that Witcher 3 and Witcher 3 came out for the Xbox One. Titanfall was also on the 360.
Yeah.
So slightly different eras there. Or gens, if you will.
I'm just trying to think in my head of which ones would actually match the quality from the post 2012 period between 2012 and 2022. I'm trying to think of anything that would match.
Black Flag. Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Sure, but Assassin's Creed is still something we would consider part of that era. It's all been lead-offs from that. So if we say what era did Assassin's Creed make its mark, obviously we already covered that era, so that's not the further.
Yeah, but Black Flag came out in 2013, I believe, which is the start of the time frame we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Black Flag is comparable to the earlier Assassin's Creed games. just with pirate
most
ships.
People would say that it was an excellent effort, and it carried a lot of players of the series through that period, which was not great. To the modern Valhalla and such.
Yeah. Call of Duty has fallen off since.
Yeah. No, the period that I mentioned between 2002 and 2012 is when Call of Duty was at its height. Also.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And since then, it's
well,
rather.
Here's a game that could compete with the level of content. I think maybe from the Golden Age, Cuphead.
Sure, yeah, you could throw it in, or maybe Dark Souls, right?
Yeah. Elden Ring potentially.
Yeah, and that would be in the Dark Souls category. As
yeah,
I'm concerned.
Even though personally I fucking hate it, but I do acknowledge that it's arguably really great. Even though I personally fucking hate the game.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Unlike some people in the woke media, as in the woke media in general, that if they hate something, they fucking hate it. They will tell you it's fucking terrible. No, if I fucking hate something, but it's really good, I'll tell you it's really good, but I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Elden Ring is one of those things.
And then obviously God of War, it's been successful lately, but it's another one that started in the period.
Yeah.
So.
And Uncharted.
It's a legacy series, is what it is. That's what those are. Legacy
to series. A point, I would say Uncharted before Cuckman.
Yeah.
I would say The Last of Us before Cuckman as well. So Last of Us Part 1 on the PS3, which was the beginning of the era that we're talking about, because that came out in 2013. So.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
it's really stomach turning though to talk about The Last of Us as to really even talk about it, honestly.
I wish I were wearing my fuck Naughty Dog shirt now, but I'm not going to change on camera, so. Grand Theft Auto series, which spans from.
Yeah, that goes back to before the era I mentioned.
Yeah, before the Golden Age and all the way through into the modern age.
Yeah.
Just with 5 alone, for the most part, because it launched on PS3 2013, and then came out on as well as the 360, came out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Then they re-released it for PS5 and Series X.
That almost makes me wish I had said 2002 to 2014, because if I'd said that, then that actually ropes in all the 2013 games that were always, that were so good.
Chunk in the chat's talking about The Last of Us Part 1 here. I just finished Last of Us Remastered, which is Part 1 for PS4. IMO, one of the most overrated games I think I've played.
Yep.
I'm not saying it ain't overrated. I'm just saying in comparison to modern games on current gen hardware, from a storytelling standpoint, if you pretend that Part 2 doesn't exist, it's pretty good. I'm not saying it's earned its rating from Metacritic, but I'm saying it's not terrible. And in Last of Us Part 1 for the PS3, when that first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that I played all the way through it on the PS3, finished playing it on one playthrough, did not go back to it because of one part of the game that just fucking pissed me off. It was the part where you were trying to sneak up on a guy who was trying to sneak up on you, throw a brick at him, and tackle him. I kept fucking dying like 500 fucking times.
Yep.
Yeah. Story was great, but I was so bored. Yeah. The story was great, but yeah, it was quite boring indeed. You're not wrong, Chunk. But yeah, back to games we're talking about here. But yeah, back in the day, sports games were a hell of a lot fucking better, too.
Yeah.
Across the board.
There's not really been too many game breaking good ones, except MLB 20, I guess.
The show
20, I mean.
Well, the show 20, and yeah, that was probably the last great one, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the, I don't know, that's like one of the only great ones. in this modern current period.
And gameplay is clunky. Yes, it was. The gameplay of The Last of Us Part 1, when you call it clunky, that reminds me of for the PlayStation 4 Until Dawn's gameplay. Very clunky with the controls. But on that note, give me a couple of minutes to take a quick bathroom break here. I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. So, and I forgot about Ninja Gaiden from the 360 Portal.
Sure, and that actually brings up Mortal Kombat too, in my mind, which is actually one of the best games of the previous era, before the Golden Age.
Yeah. And also in the thought of great games from modern age, Red Dead Redemption 2. In comparison with its predecessor from the 360, which was in 2010.
Yeah. Red Dead Revolver was an okay game. Red Dead Redemption was a great game. Red Dead 2,
yeah.
Redemption 2, was one of the greatest games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bar none. It's a beaut.
And I have 2 Saints Rows here. Saints Row Get Out of Hell and Saints Row 2 for the 360. Which I've never played the second one yet. In the chat, do you guys want to see me try to play Saints Row on Twitch? If you do, give me a hell yeah in chat, akin to Stone Cold Steve Austin. If not, then just say no. But yeah, I have Saints Row because of Games with Gold at the time here, but I had never played it yet. What is needing to update here on the Series S? Oh, Rocket League and Rubber Bandits. Yeah, I'll deal with those later. I think Saints Row 3 would be fun. Saints Row the Third, I have that for the Xbox One. I can stick that in the Series S and play that. Or in the Series X and play that, I mean. But in modern age and games that are ongoing still, do you think The Last of Us would compete with the Golden Age games? Or Among Us,
probably,
I mean.
That's debatable.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one of those party games that is sort of resounding in this current era, but it's difficult to compare it to the previous era because the previous era was not an online gaming era like this is.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the best games, in my opinion, of this era, for sure. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
You can say what you want about Sea of Thieves, but it's right there with Among Us, at least as far as I'm concerned, in terms of stupid fun that you can have with your friends. Fall Guys is just annoying at this point because it reminds me of Black Friday. And I work in the retail industry until April, when I'm leaving and finally getting out of here and going to Arizona. Chunk says, it's the only one I played. Not the biggest fan of GTA and its clones. In talking about Saints Row 3. Yeah, I did start playing Saints Row the Third, the remaster for the Xbox at the time. About a year ago, so. I don't remember if I uploaded that to YouTube or not. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember if I uploaded that to YouTube or not, but I do remember creating a female character in the game and just doing some stupid shit with it. Like having her twerk on random NPCs walking down the street. Yeah. Stupid stuff like that in Saints Row the Third. But yeah. That's really our take on things. Gaming today is obviously in a major decline in comparison to the 2002 to 2012 timeframe. Right, bro?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In terms,
if we're willing to, shoehorn in the releases of 2013 into that list, then we could just say, 2002 through 2013, and just include all those 2013 games that were great.
Yeah, like Black Flag.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like GTA 5 and Witcher and Black Flag and all these others,
And Beyond Two Souls does have its audience, and I did enjoy that when it came out. But it is what it is in terms of Beyond Two Souls.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of modern games, I think arguably my favorites at the moment, for good or bad, are probably when it comes to recent releases and their current state, at least, Cyberpunk 2077, High on Life, Guardians of the Galaxy, Medieval Dynasty, A Plague Tale Requiem, Rubber Bandits, Among Us, and I think that pretty much covers it at the moment.
Yep.
In terms of and MLB The Show. And I think that pretty much covers it.
And it would be mean of us to exclude the big three, which is Fortnite, PUBG, and Minecraft, which eats up a large percentage of the gaming community.
Minecraft, well, this is just what I personally enjoy. I'm not talking about what is terrible here.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about like the best of this era that we can find, yeah, Minecraft is there, Among Us is there. What was the other one that you said? PUBG?
I said PUBG.
Yeah, that's their niche thing because it's a battle fucking royal.
No, I know that. That's why I said though. But it still is. It used to have a massive player base when it first came out. Everybody was playing it.
Yeah, and then
you can't really sit there and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter."
And then the next battle royale came out, or Fortnite introduced a battle royale mode because it wasn't always the Fortnite that we know it is today. It was something more or less completely different when Fortnite first came out, because it was Fortnite something against the world or something like that, whatever the fuck it was. Mm-hmm. I kind of wish I could play what Fortnite was before it became Fortnite, because I want to see what that was like. Because in terms of what Fortnite is, I'm not fucking interested whatsoever. I played it once, I'm like, no. I'm not doing the Battle Royale shit. I've done that enough with other games that I don't need another goddamn Battle Royale in my life. Because between, the fuck's the name of it? Apex Legends is the name of the game I was trying to think of. Between Apex Legends and Call of Duty having a Battle Royale mode, and the fact that I even had Black Ops 4 for Call of Duty, which was nothing but a Battle Royale. Yeah, I don't give a shit about Battle Royales. If you're sticking a Battle Royale in your game developers, guess what? I'm not interested. I don't care if it has a single player mode. If your selling point is Battle Royale, yeah, my wallet's staying closed at this point. Mm-hmm. But as it is, when it comes to money and buying games, I can't do that right now, so I'm probably not going to be able to cover or play like anything that comes out leading up to when I move, so more than likely.
I'm sure folks will understand.
Yeah. But that doesn't that's not going to stop me from trying to get through my backlog leading up to when I move or when the internet gets turned off here, so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you guys should expect from me. Just me trying to play through my backlog at this point. So, for example, next time I stream is probably going to have to be, well, I'm going to try to do Medieval Dynasty streams on Mondays until I get sick of that game. High in Life I gotta get back to at some point. Mass Effect 3 I need to finish. In terms of what I was doing on stream. And continuing the Drew's Universe for WWE 2K, because I still haven't done the stream introducing Gary and Az into the universe yet, which I'm going to try to do on Wednesday. WWE on Wednesdays at that point. And yeah, just arguably playing through stuff that I already got at this point. And then on every other day of the week, if I'm not doing one of these, or even if I am and if I hadn't slept all day, genuinely try to play just something that I feel like playing, and I'll just play it on stream at that point. But as it is. Are you going to be doing anything after this?
Yeah, I'm just going to be playing a little bit of my usual and then probably going to bed.
Yeah, I think it's Sunday. Yeah. So I don't work tomorrow, so I'll probably get a cup of coffee. And at some point later on tonight, after I finish my coffee, go live on Twitch and play something. Yeah. I'll go live on Twitch tonight to play something from my backlog here. So, in the chat, let me know what you guys would be down for watching me play on Twitch tonight. In terms of what's in my backlog. Because I'm down for whatever. Hey, Gaming. Gaming pops in right at the end. Better late than never, Gaming. But since you're here, Gaming, you might as well share with us in the chat, what is your favorite game console that you've ever played on, and what is the best console that you've ever played on, if it's not the same answer as the first question? And what are some of your favorite games from your favorite console? Because for me, some of my favorite games from the 360 are BioShock, the early Gears of War games, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Skyrim. Nord, what are some of your favorite games from your favorite console, which you said was the GameCube, right?
Oh yeah, Mario Party is number one for me. Yeah. F-Zero GX was great. Mario Golf was great. NBA Street Series, both NFL and NBA, especially the NBA. V2 was the best, and then V3.
Too many to say or choose, Gaming says. Well, Gaming can't choose a favorite console because there's too many.
Sonic Adventure 2. There's so many great games from that console.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. You had Metroid Prime. You had what's that other one? You had the whole Need for Speed series on that console. That was just amazing. Especially Underground 2. Underground 2 was a game. Was an industry-shaking game.
I do remember that it won Best Racing Game at the Video Game Awards that year.
Yeah.
Back before Jeff Keighley had hijacked it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, there's such a long list on that console of great games. I can't even begin. It's such a long list. Everything from like Beautiful Joe, which sort of lit the fire that ended up becoming Cuphead in terms of art style, and like because they had successfully made Beautiful Joe, they knew they were able to make a game that people would play with a sort of surrealistic art style. They knew that was going to work because it had worked before.
Yeah.
They borrowed obviously a more like campy, cartoonish 1920s sort of, silent film type style.
I think we can end on this. What console or consoles have we spent the most time interacting with? over the years?
Well, in terms of years, Xbox 360 was my most years. But in terms of hours, it's probably the Xbox One at this point.
Yeah. For me, that's either, I think, probably a tie between one of three: the PS4 standard or Pro. The three, a tie between four systems, I think. The PS4s, or the 360, Xbox One, or the Series X, or the Xbox Series consoles, I should say. But of those, it's probably safer to say probably the Series X at this point, because it's the one that's generally on the most. Followed closely probably behind the PS4. So of those systems, our favorite games from those systems, as I was saying before, for the Xbox Series X, Among Us, Cyberpunk, Medieval Dynasty, Plague Tale Requiem, in terms of the Xbox Series X for me. In terms of the PlayStation 4, God of War, Horizon series, I think that pretty much covers it at the moment for PlayStation. What'd be some of your favorite from the Xbox One?
Oh, well, obviously I've played ESO like crazy.
Yeah.
But I liked Astroneer. I played the hell out of that. I've liked a lot of the games that I've played on it. I mean, I really haven't played what I would call a bad game. A game where I was just like, oh, this sucks. I haven't really found one of those yet. So really, it's just from the library. Red Dead 2 is still one of the greatest games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that, despite having not played that like cover to cover, it's definitely up there. It deserves a lot of props all the way around. But yeah, I was playing PUBG just recently, and I know that game was one of the more groundbreaking battle royale games. And it's obviously a throwback, but the Borderlands series was also Borderlands 3 on the current gen I'm playing on. It's a great game too. I mean, the storyline is a little bit here and there. The styling is very postmodern styling and very wolfish. But the gameplay is just like the previous titles. So I mean, it's very faithful to the series at least. So
yeah. In the chat, I already know what Chunk is going to say, that he spent the most time on what platform? PlayStation 4. Might as well change your name, Chunk, to Chunk the Sony Pony.
Chunk the Pony.
Yeah. But gaming, if you're still here, what console have you spent the most time, or platform have you spent the most time with? Because PC is also an acceptable answer too. Chunk's laughing in the chat. But yeah. I'm having trouble remembering anything else that means anything on PS4 to me.
Yeah, that's all right. I think we've covered most bases that matter.
I guess Uncharted before Cuckman? Maybe. I've got over 3,600 hours just on Borderlands games on PS4.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what Chunk said.
Yep.
So,
it's a good series.
So how many days would that translate to? 3,600 hours.
Well, it'd be 2,400 hours would be 100 days. So, basically be 150 days.
So about, is it safe to say about 6 months of Chunk's life just sitting there in playing Borderlands, not doing anything else?
Yeah, you really couldn't put that many hours in without having played it for like probably a year solid.
Yeah,
I would think.
Yeah.
Just because nobody can literally sit there for 3,000 straight hours. No one can do that.
So, well, that's
just instead of breaking it up,
Yeah, I know, but that's just what I'm picturing. Chunk sitting there, just strapping a bedpan to his ass for 6 months.
You definitely have some kind of seizure or some kind of serious health issue from that.
I would say the same thing about watching MSNBC, but that's a whole other story. A brain aneurysm would come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, yeah, I know how you feel, Chunk. When Skyrim came out for the 360, if I had a bedpan, I would have strapped that to my ass too at the time. And I'm pretty sure Nord would have done the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
With Skyrim.
We played the hell out of it.
Although the same thing goes with Oblivion, because I remember coming home from work when I started working at the store. This was obviously before Skyrim came out. I would want to play Oblivion. There you were in the living room on the 360 playing it yourself. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not playing today. Hence why I wound up getting a second 360 and a second copy of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion so I could play it when I wanted to in my room. So, which is another fun thought over the years. Whenever we got a console, generally what I would wind up doing is buying a second one so we'd stop fighting over it.
Yeah, free time was gaming. That's just what it was. So
yeah. That happened with the PS2, that happened with the GameCube, that happened with the 360. That didn't really happen with Xbox One because we were living like 1,000 miles plus apart.
Mm-hmm.
even though it did wind up happening, only because I was like, play games online with me and talk about shit on YouTube with me. Anyway. But as it is. And as I've said before, there have been only two things that I wanted the most out of life: having a baby brother and playing games and talking about games online with him. Well, here we are. As far as I'm concerned, excluding finding true love, my life is actually fulfilled. So,
it ain't over, bro. You got one more to
do. Either way, with that in mind, I just remembered one thing. I keep thinking of a way to start these things, and I keep forgetting about it until right at the end or after we've gone off camera and ended the streams. So I'm gonna try to end it the way that I want to start this shit, in hopes that I remember to do it next time. So with that in mind, we're gonna call it here, folks. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about the golden age of gaming, the modern age, the PlayStation Plus, and the games with gold games. If you've missed anything, watch it back later. It will forever be on the channel for as long as YouTube lets it. Because I ain't taking it down, regardless of what's said, and regardless of how I make myself look. So with that in mind, on behalf of myself, Desert Nord, thank you, Chunk the Punk. Thank you, Gaming, for being here earlier as well. And on that note, there's only one way to end this. Considering we were talking about how woke everything has gotten and it's done nothing but destroy once beloved franchises. You know how I'm ending this, right?
Yeah.
Fade out.